Welcome to Illuminate Presents. We're here with two comic geniuses, Cheech and Chong.
I'm Chong. Olumide.
Great.
That's the biggest goddamn menu I've ever seen. The dog ran in the room when he saw that. See those things we don't know. Oh, look, the bitch is going up on her. I heard it, never seen it till now. He was going up on her. Usually he has a football to get up there, see what I'm saying? And he disappeared.
What do you bring with you when you're doing a album versus a live performance versus a movie? Do you use the same energy, or is there like a different approach that you take to the?
It's a different genre, so a different medium. So we create stuff for the medium. So we like in records, we created stuff that sounded funny when you heard it, and it was a theater of the mind rather than a. We always wondered how we always were amazed that we got so big making records because you couldn't see us. We were a visual act.
Yeah, we started out visually, and that was a big thing. And then when we got offered the record contract, we it was all new territory for us. The only difference was that I grew up with radio, and I think Cheech did to some extent.
Yeah, that was radio.
Yeah, and listening to radio. I mean, when you're a young kid, all that stuff stays in your head. What you can do with sound effects, and it was great, man.
We grew up in black neighborhoods. I grew up in black neighborhood from the time I was born, and Tommy too, even in Canada.
Yeah. I was initiated. I never talked for a good 10 years. I never said a word. People didn't know I could talk, because when you're in a band full of brothers, you don't get a chance to talk. you know, I mean, and so I just absorbed. I absorbed, and then my first wife and girlfriend, black girl, and her brother, who was a drummer of the Three Dog Night, the original drummer, Floyd Sneed. Floyd is a natural comedian from the time I met him. He was 10 years old. And so I got a lot of riffs off Floyd, just listening to him act the fool, as they call it. Floyd would do some weird things. Like he was babysitting this little kid named Jimmy Podger. I'll never forget it. And Podger would whine, and Floyd would take him and hang him up on a coat hanger and leave him there. And the guy would be hanging up there for a good hour or so.
As black humor, though, you kind of got to be there.
But I mean, it was that kind of crazy humor. And not only that, but when I was in a black band, I mean, that's the only thing that kept us happening, because when people would go off on us, especially in Canada, because we played towns where they never saw a black person. And one time we were stuck in a town, and the singer Tommy Milton and I were walking down the street, and this lady turned the corner, and she was carrying groceries, and she saw Tommy, and I guess, and she threw the groceries in the air and screamed and went running off.
Black power!
Yeah, I mean, it's like she saw a ghost. Oh, fuck, I'll never forget that. And then the other good story is that all the guys in Calgary grew up on horses, like in farms, black guys on horses. And so we used to go to this racist little town, where they never saw black people, and we'd rent horses. And then we'd go riding through the town on these rented horses, and the cops just freaked out, man. The cop was trying to round us up with his car, and we got horses, and they're, hey, come over here. And we go, fuck you, and we go. We'd take off on the horses. Oh, we had a lot of fun, man. That's where the humor came from.
Hey, Fifi, how you doing? Hey, Whirly-Blue Hama. How you been? Haven't seen you for a long time. I like that dressing you're making. Not me, Rob.
Were you friends with Richard Pryor also? Did you ever do?
We were. Richard Pryor was a big Cheech and Chong fan. And we did a week at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles one time, right after we did Up in Smoke, and right after we had split from our management. And so we were like fledglings out there. And after we did the first night, Richard Pryor met us coming off the stage. He met us. He greeted us. He gave us a big handshake, hug. He was paying homage to Cheech and Chong, which was probably the biggest award anybody could ever get from anybody.
He was a good guy. He was my favorite comedian ever.
Yeah, I learned all my chops off him and Red Fox. I'd studied both of those guys.
And Nipsey Russell.
No, not Nipsey. No. Red Fox and Richard Pryor, my favorite guys. And we were also influenced by, improvisational groups like the Committee and Second City, and the Groundlings, actually. Yeah. And all our jokes, like Basketball Jones, and that was like a takeoff on other Love Jones and all these songs because Cheech. Yeah, blow it on.
Blow it on.
Blow it on. Pizza.
Attila the Hungry.
Black Lassie. Black Lassie.
Black Lassie was
Short and sassy.
You talk about basketball. How did you get Billy Preston and George Harrison on that track? Were you good friends with them, or how did that happen?
Well, we were friends with Preston for sure, and George. We ended up being friends with George, but he was recording in the same studio. They all were. We're all in A&M Records, and when we did our record, or when they did their record, we go sit in on theirs and so on, and that's how we did it. But George, for Basketball Jones, Lou Adler actually asked George, and George says, "Oh, sure." And so that guitar riff in front is all pure George, man.
And it sounds just like George. I mean,
Oh, so good. So good.
Yeah, last time I saw you said you had done a show with Muddy Waters also. Who are some of the great artists that you've also been on stage with?
God, you name it. B.B. King, the Allman Brothers when Dwayne was with them, Rolling Stones.
Adderley, Cannonball Adderley.
Carmen McRae.
Bill Withers.
We were the opening act. We were the house comedians at a black club called PJ's in Hollywood, and every black act that came into LA was the Uptown Black Club, and Carmen McRae, Lily Anthony Imperials, Ray Charles, Edwin Starr, the Isley Brothers, the Whispers, the Impressions.
We did them
all of them.
And Cannonball Adderley.
With Ayrton.
Ayrton and Booker.
Walter Booker.
Walter Booker on bass, yeah. That's who turned us on to drugs.
Yeah.
And jazz guys.
I got a joint I've been carrying around with me for a while.
Medical marijuana. What is your stance on like the legalization and like the politics behind it? People being in prison. You obviously had experience with the bong. What are your policies?
Yeah, he got a bong in prison. Ooh, ow.
No, the drug thing, my drug there again. I was introduced to pot by a Chinese bass player, Ray Ma, handed me a Lenny Bruce record and a joint, and that joint lasted me for a month. And I kept take a little bit. I was like you give the rat test, take a little toke and then put it out. And the Lenny Bruce got me into that mind space. That's really what it was seeing how society treated the
outsiders.
Anybody that used drugs. I mean, we had draconian laws in Vancouver. I was there when the four tops got arrested for a roach.
Really?
A roach. Yeah, the maid found a roach in their ashtray. And so they were performing down at this club, And so the narcs got the room next door to the Four Tops room, and when they came back off the gig, they bust through the door and they arrest all the Tops and the white Jewish comedian for a roach, and they put him in jail. And Levi, the Tops, he said, man, that was the only time that white motherfucker was funny. Because he kept saying, because I'm not with these guys. And look at me, I'm not with these guys. And they said, I'm sorry, buddy, you're in jail too. But it was that weird mentality that they had. And I knew from experience that pot was all good.
It's good for the world.
All this work